Good morning. It's time now for another Center of It All. People are getting sick, so we look where the germs are hiding at work. We check out the newest piece in the gaming world and head over to Mel's Kitchen to eat some manicotti, homemade through and through. These stories and more coming up next on the Center of It All. Hello and welcome to the Center of It All. Thanks for joining. I'm your host, Alex Rabb. This winter is full of germs and sickness, so let's see where those germs are hiding.
The 2012-2013 flu season started early and spread fast. Activity still remains high. The United States Center for Disease Control said on January 11th that the influenza outbreak has officially reached epidemic proportions. 7.3% of deaths in the second week of January were caused by pneumonia and the flu. Now don't panic. Tens of thousands of Americans die every year from the flu, even in non-epidemic years. The threshold for an epidemic is that it causes more than 7.2% of deaths. Now, this outbreak has led people to go above the norm of just getting a flu shot. There's an increase in hand washing, avoiding contact with sick people, and disinfecting one's workspace more often. And this is exactly why we're here. There are a few unexpected places at work where germs, like flu germs, lie. Number 1, your desktop. Sure, you spend the majority of time at your desk. Yes, working, but also sneezing, coughing, and even eating. But did you know in some cases, desktops have been found to have higher levels of bacteria than a toilet seat? Custodians don't clean the area because it's considered a personal space, so use disinfectant before you start your day of work. I know this seems strange, but I really do know people that keep a toothbrush at work. So if you're one of those people, be sure to get a travel case for it. To protect your mouth from germs and toilet germs when it flushes, replace your toothbrush every 3 to 4 months. Number 3, communal buttons. A Kimberly-Clark study found that 41% of ATMs, 40% of parking meters, and 35% of vending machines contain dangerous amounts of bacteria. So after you get your snacks, wash your hands.
And let's not forget about reusable grocery bags. Kudos to you for using them.
But did you know that these bags can contain bits of food from grocery trips and dirt and germs from clothes and shoes you hauled in them? So next time at 5 o'clock when you trade your heels in for your tennies, remember after a week or so to wash the bag. Hey, in some cases, there's more E. coli in those bags than in people's underpants. It's gross, but it's true. Hand washing, sanitizing lotions, and disinfecting communal areas can reduce the chance of infections by 50%. Here's to a healthy remaining winter. For the Center of It All, I'm Alex Rabb.
Eat right, stay well rested, and wash your hands. It's the best we can do to fight illness. So when we return, Mel shows us how to make some homemade manicotti. Hi and welcome back. Our friend Jose Sanchez at the Electronic Playground stopped at the Consumers Electronics Show and brought back some really cool information.
When people hear the letters VR, sometimes they cringe a little bit, but you guys with the Oculus Rift are set to blow minds, including mine, which was just blown. Explain to me a little bit about the Oculus Rift.
Sure. So the Rift's a new virtual reality headset that we're putting together. It's all about putting the player in the game for the first time. So, you know, the biggest features of the Rift are really low latency head tracking and an ultra wide field of view. It's a pretty immersive experience. I mean, you just tried it. You know, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I heard VR and I was like, I can't believe it's going to work. Because a lot of people have tried VR in the past, but this is incredible. And it's just the beginnings of it. I can't wait to see what you guys plan on doing with the future of it. And can you tell me a little bit about what your plans are for the future of this?
Sure. So just like you mentioned, you know, this is sort of day zero VR, right? This is like a VR that's not ready quite yet for primetime consumers, but it's great, we think, for game developers to get started building content for virtual reality and for the Oculus Rift.
And where would you like to see the Rift ultimately take VR and the VR experience?
I mean, we would love to see the Rift to be the leading VR headset in the space. We believe that the Rift is trying to deliver on that visual immersion. For great VR, you're going to need a little bit more than that. You know, you're going to need great content. You want great audio. You want positional tracking. You want to see your limbs in there. You know, the list goes on and on. And I think that's part of the reason the Kickstarter was so important to this project. You know, we really need a community of dedicated and passionate developers to really help us build the future of gaming and virtual reality. And I think that's where you're going to see the biggest innovation is from other developers in the space who are as passionate as we are.
This is only the tip of the technology iceberg of what's to come this year. Now let's switch gears and get to our newest kitchen encounters.
Oh baby, it's cold outside. The snow is falling and the temperatures have dropped so low, nobody wants to be out there. What am I going to do to pass my time inside today? I'm going to make an old world pasta dish. Spinach and ricotta stuffed manicotti. And I'm going to make the pasta from scratch. Let's get started. Manicotti is one of the oldest pasta shapes, and it's made today the same way our ancestors made it. Pasta sheets are rolled thin, cut into kind of big squares, and then boiled and stuffed with all sorts of different kinds of fillings. Back in the late 1700s and early 1800s, about 1798 and 99, the French occupied the Abruzzo region of Italy, and the Italians were introduced to French crepes. Before long, the Italians invented their own version of the French crepe and began replacing pasta sheets in all sorts of their own dishes. They named their crepes crispelli, and that's what we're going to make today. The biggest difference between the French crepe and the Italian crispelli is the absence of butter in the batter. What I've got is 8 eggs in a measuring container, and I'm going to add about a cup of flour and a teaspoon of salt. To that, I'm just going to add about a cup of milk, because I'm going to leave a little bit more in here, and I'm going to use what we call a stick blender or a burr blender, and I'm just going to quickly blend all this stuff together. Takes about 30 seconds or so. Now I'm going to stop and take a look at this, and I'm going to add just enough more milk to total 4 cups of liquid. One more spin. And now we're just going to set this aside for about 15 to 20 minutes to allow the flour to absorb some of the moisture and form a nice thick batter.
When we return, Mel shows us how to make the filling, and we'll head over to the stove. Thanks for joining. Kitchen Encounters continues on.
While our crispelli batter is resting so that it thickens a little bit, I'm going to mix the manicotti filling. I've got 2 pounds of whole milk ricotta cheese. I don't recommend using skim or low-fat cheese for this. And I'm going to add 1 10-ounce package of spinach, uncooked, that's been thawed, and I've squished it between the palms of my hands to get all of the water out of it so that you can see how easily this is pulling apart. I'm going to add 4 ounces of grated mozzarella cheese and 4 ounces of grated provolone, a cup of Parmigiano Reggiano, about a ½ teaspoon of nutmeg, salt, and coarsely ground black pepper, and 3 lightly beaten eggs. I'm going to mix all of this together with a spatula. You really don't want to have to put your hands in this, so be kind of patient with it. It'll all come together because you don't want to compress this or turn it into like a tight little ball. You want it to stay a nice loose filling that's evenly blended, and you'll be able to kind of tell when it's all mixed together because the egg will have turned the cheese kind of yellow throughout the entire mixture. Oh, this is looking wonderful. Yum. The eggs are going to make this cook up and kind of give our manicotti like a souffle centers to them. That's perfect. I'm going to cover this with plastic wrap, put it in the refrigerator to chill for a little while, and we're going to move over to the stovetop and make our crispelli. My crepe batter's been sitting here for about 15 minutes and it's really smooth and slightly thickened. It's at the perfect stage to start making the crepes. I have a nice little, I call it my nifty little 6-inch crepe pan, and it's square. I bought this like 20 years ago. I don't even remember where I got it. But if you don't have anything that size, a nice round, a 6 or a 7-inch nonstick skillet will work just fine. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to spray my pan with a little bit of no-stick spray. Now, you do not have to repeat that with every crepe you do. Maybe every 4 or 5, if one seems like it's going to stick a little bit, throw a little more no-stick spray on there. Now I'm going to heat my little griddle over medium-high heat. And we're just going to let that sit there for about 30 seconds because we really want the pan to get hot. My pan is hot, and I'm going to add about 1/4 of a cup of the Crispelli batter to the pan, and I'm going to tilt it around to evenly coat it and put it back on the flame. Now your first Crispelli is going to take the longest to cook, and that's going to be kind of your guide for timing. And what you're going to want to notice is the crepe is immediately going to dry around the sides, and you're going to wait for the entire surface of the top to dry out. Now with the first crepe, this can take 25 or 30 seconds, but it's going to start going a lot faster as you move along and you get the hang of this. And we've got a little bit of bubbling here on the side. And as you can see, this is all drying out here across the top. It's getting close. The second I can get a spatula underneath one corner, all I'm going to do is lift and flip. The first side is done, and the second side I'm immediately going to lift this up off the heat, and when the crepe slides easily from side to side, it goes off the pan on the plate. I'll do one more for you. I'm just going to lift this off the heat. 1/4 cup of crepe batter. Swirl the pan, back on the flame. Wait for the edges to turn dry and the surface to get dry and get a few bubbles on it. And while we're waiting for that to happen, let me add that you're going to get about 20 to 22 crepes out of this batter. In a minute or so, I'll be able to, oh, you can see the little bubbles forming in here now across the surface. That's what, maybe 20 seconds. Get the spatula underneath, flip, how easy is that? Lift it off the flame, slide it around, and just keep making crepes till all of your batter is used up. Filling manicotti couldn't be easier. I've sprayed a 13 by 9 inch casserole with some no-stick spray, and I'm placing each Crispelli on a flat surface, and I'm going to add a generous 1/4 cup of my filling into the center, and don't make the mistake of spreading it out to the edges. That'll happen as they bake. I'm rolling each one and putting it inside down into the pan. I'm going to add another generous 1/4 cup of filling into the center of this Crispelli. I'm going to pull up the flap closest to me, roll it over, put it open side down, and lastly, I'm going to top, I'm not going to over drench these in sauce. I'm going to put about 1/2 a cup of sauce across the center of each row, just like that, just a nice 1/2 cup. And then I'm going to top the centers with a sprinkling of Parmigiano Reggiano cheese. Oh, don't they look wonderful already? And they haven't even gone into the oven. Last thing now, Pop these into a 350-degree oven for about 25 minutes. And while these bake, I'm going to make my second pan of manicotti. This is a dinner that's going to make everybody forget about the snow and the cold. And leftovers are going to reheat great tomorrow too. And stay tuned to our next Kitchen Encounters episode when I teach you how to make meatballs and marinara sauce. For these and all of my recipes, just go to my website.
Manicotti is one of my favorite meals, and Mel's recipe is absolutely delicious. We do have to take another break, but we'll hit the gym once we return. Welcome back to the center of it all. John Stroh went to Victory Sports and Fitness to ask the trainers how to stay motivated in these very cold months.
As part of our New Year's resolutions, we've been exercising regularly and eating healthier, and hopefully things are going great. However, at some point, we're going to hit a wall where our weights aren't going up and the scale isn't going down. And the best way to deal with it, according to Rob Oshinsky, is to understand that it happens to everyone and to have a plan in place.
Right now you're saying, hey, I'm still feeling as motivated as I did week 1 in January. Well, fantastic, but why not think about some of the suggestions we've made now? Think about that vacation, think about hiring a trainer, think about something that if next week or the week after that motivation drops a little bit, you have a mechanism in place that you can plug into and keep the ball rolling.
At Victory, they use an acronym called RMAE, Results, Motivation, Accountability, and Education. Tim Margiotti explains.
Make sure that the program is suited correctly for you, and it's something that you like, or if not necessarily in love with it, it's at least a necessary evil, something you look at as a necessary evil that you can get up and embrace every day to some degree.
Finding the motivation to tackle that program can be as simple as having a workout partner.
The old saying is there's power in numbers. So I would encourage folks, if they're working out on their own, they may want to somehow fold in some friends and family, so to make it a group effort. If they are working out on their own, they don't have other folks that are willing to go the extra mile with them, they may want to consider working with a trainer or some kind of fitness professional, so that there's some synergy there from a group standpoint, because there's definitely more motivation when as opposed to going it alone, you're doing it with someone else.
When we hit the wall, we need to hold ourselves accountable, but don't confuse accountability with motivation.
Motivation is different from accountability, and oftentimes folks get that confused. Because I can motivate you to walk in the door, I can motivate you to exercise, but you may not feel bad telling me you had jelly beans in bed last night. So there's definitely a disconnect if, the folks in your life can get you excited about exercising, but they can't keep you accountable to do things you need to do outside of it.
And be sure to educate yourself on how your program relates to your fitness goals.
It's understanding, again, the principles and the fundamentals surrounding your wellness goals. So again, if you may have, like you had mentioned, one individual may have quality of life goals that are more body mechanics oriented. So for one person, their program might be strength oriented. For the next person, it might be body composition oriented.
And lastly, remember, it's okay to take some time off from the gym.
Time off is a good thing. We all need some time off. If you've been in the gym every day since New Year's and you're grinding 5, 6, 7 days a week, you may need a couple days of respite and go and have some fun doing something, whatever that may be, some time with your family, some time with your friends, going to a ball game or a wrestling match, whatever. Don't feel that you have to live in the gym.
It's natural to hit that wall, and it's going to happen, but if we have a plan in place ahead of time, we can bust right through them. For the center of it all, I'm John Stroh.
Thanks, John. Dance marathons are so fun and always going on for a great cause. Jessica Blitzer explains Penn State's dance marathon from an inside perspective.
Originally, dance marathons began as endurance contests in the 20s and 30s. People would compete to become famous or win prizes. Nowadays, it's typically people standing for a given amount of time, raising money for a good cause. Well, Penn State goes above and beyond what your typical dance marathon does. Thon is the largest student-run philanthropy in the world that is a year-long effort raising money for the Four Diamonds Fund. Since 1977, it has raised more than $89 million. The Four Diamonds Fund's purpose is to provide financial, medical, and research support to conquer childhood cancer. Do you know that each year, 2,300 children and teenagers will die from cancer? Because of this, over 15,000 students at Penn State get involved with Thon each year. Lauren Hoyt, a family relations captain, got involved in her freshman year because of her sister's past experience. Now, as a junior, she has created many of her own.
We went canning, and we were just out on a corner, and it was freezing, and somebody had brought us hot chocolate. And we found out that it was the mom of a Thon child, and she told us that herself, and she was so excited just for us to be able to go and experience it because it changed her life so much. And I think after that I realized also how it affects families, which led me to my position today.
Lauren and her co-captains help provide the Four Diamonds families with emotional support.
Just being there for their kids and seeing them grow and have the support system to hang on to when they are in hospital so much and they don't have that social interaction, we become their friends and sometimes their best friends.
Unlike Lauren, who knew about Thon through her sister, Matt Koppel knew nothing about it as an incoming freshman.
I kind of, stumbled across this great organization, and it changed my life forever, it seems.
Not only does it change the life of students involved, but the kids say Thon weekend is better than Christmas. Dancers stand 46 hours straight for the kids who can. Although Matt is not a dancer, he is heavily involved through his fraternity.
When they announce the total of each individual organization towards the end of Thon, and when you hear that number, when you hear my number, like the part of your organization go up, and just show how much you contributed, it really puts it into perspective how much you are really helping. It's such a great cause, and if you're not involved, get involved. Everyone says that Thon weekend changes your life, but it actually really does.
For the center of it all, I'm Jessica Blitzer.
Thanks, Jess. For more information about Thon or to donate, head over to thon.org. That's it for us today. I hope you enjoyed the show. Please like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter next time you're online. Have a great day.